Ladies and gentlemen, today is March 3rd, 2014, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 171. I'm your host, Keenan Lafferty, and this is the show where we learn to be better artists. And today we're going to be jumping back into the piece I'm working on for the Diablo 3 upcoming release of Reaper of Souls. It's a piece of marketing art I am doing for Blizzard. And you can see this is where we currently are here. We added some detail to the monk male and did a little bit of touch-ups on the monk female, specifically regarding her arm. And we're going to go ahead and jump into our good old-fashioned time-lapse, and I will talk over it. So I've realized one of the first things that I wanted to do, like going forward with this, is I actually wanted to slow the time-lapse down just a little bit. So we're going about a fourth slower, 25% longer, I guess you could say. And the first thing you'll notice was I was drawing on the monk beads around the guy's torso, or around his neck. And to be honest, I didn't really like it. And I didn't like it for a couple of reasons. A, the original concept did not have it, by the way. For those of you who want to see this from the beginning, just go back a few KNKL episodes. We started, I think, at 168. And this is the process. I'm basically showing my entire process for a piece. You guys have been asking for it. And I'm delivering, because this postman always delivers. And I'm going to be showing you guys my entire process from beginning to end. Because you guys are so freaking awesome and you deserve that. And now that the internet kind of sucks in the new place that we moved into, I can now pre-record my videos. But the good thing about that is that now you can view them in nice, high-quality 720p. It was 720p before with the stream, but you had to deal with all the compression and stuff like that because my old computer sucked. But the new one is quite good. And speaking of that, I got a brand new cooling fan in it, so there would no longer, I mean, you guys could never hear it, but it was literally, as soon as I started recording the show, my fan would just go, and it was like, it was so loud, like, in my ear. But luckily, this nice little microphone cancels out our background noise. Okay, so anyway, so we should probably be talking about the piece at hand here. I guess you guys can just watch what's going on. And my commentary would be just, man, I'm drawing a toe. I'm drawing a toe right now. In fact, the one interesting thing that I can say about drawing this foot was, first of all, one of the things I did was I kept, originally in the last episode, his foot was really kind of turned to the point where it almost looked like it was kind of broken, right? It was kind of rotated a little bit too much. And I asked my friend Colton for his fresh eyes, and I said, Colton, take a look at this. Tell me if his foot looks a little bit off to you. And he's like, yeah, I think you could like tilt up just a little bit more. Because right now, he said, you know, there's this really cool line of action happening with his leg. And then this foot, like kind of teeing off, is kind of interrupting that. And it's kind of just looking a little bit strange. So I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. But when I was drawing this foot, I'm usually not a big fan of drawing feet. But I actually just took off my sock and I was just like looking at my foot, right? And one of the things that I really like to capture with like heroic looking, awesome, strong feet is the tendons that happen right in here. I think that this is something that, I mean, you see it all the time in like the udon stuff that they do for Street Fighter. They make their feet look super muscular and like manly, like muscular feet. Who would have thought you would say something like that? But their feet are really, really awesome. They look super tough. And you can see all those tendons and stuff inside of the toes and on the top of the foot. So, moving on to our good friend, the arm. I'm just going to begin just kind of playing around with a couple ideas that I had as far as, like, I was like, okay, maybe I need to move his arm up a little bit. But I looked at it and I was like, no, you know what? It's kind of competing, like, in terms of lengthwise. See how it almost reaches his foot? I personally didn't like that. I like the way that it was before, back with the sketch. Let's go ahead and go back to here. How basically his arm, the way that I imagined it, is back like this. So see how when I put my shoulder back here, all you can see is just the edge of my arm, as opposed to like this, where it's kind of like sticking out. That's kind of how I imagined it looking. And it just created a better silhouette. That's really what I'm looking at here, is the silhouette and the shape that it's creating. And when I made the arm longer, it kind of took away a little bit with like how far out the leg was stretching from his body. And I thought that that was really cool. Didn't want to lose that, so I eventually dial that back to the way it was. And then, yeah, just go ahead and start doing that stuff. And I was constantly like referencing my super muscular arms to like make sure that I get, you know, every muscle every tendon like laid in properly, so it looks like the monk's arm as well. And yeah, it surprisingly worked. Surprisingly worked pretty well. Just have to like play down a little bit, play down the muscles, because obviously, video game characters can't have a body like me. So we just make sure to play that down a little bit. So, and I was having a lot of fun with this because, okay, here's exactly what I'm talking about. See how his foot still looks a little bit kind of broken off? And I was like, yeah, because when you do like a high kick like that, naturally your foot is going to turn more towards the ground. So I kind of wanted to get a little bit of that. And I thought it would look cool just kind of having that T shape at the end of his leg. But it ended up not looking as good as I wanted to. I actually changed up the pants a little bit too. That's probably something I should talk about. Back on these pants, like way back here. Actually, no, this is even before this. Or did I even time-lapse that? Maybe I did. Okay, so anyways, I changed the pants. Because you want to think about, like, his leg is, like, shooting up. So all that fabric and everything is going to, like, be pulled back. And so that's what's creating, like, these ruffles in his pants, right? So everything that is at your disposal, every tool that you can use to show that motion is happening, like, see, like, his facial hair is, like, moving, because he's, like, spinning, right? And then this leg is, like, shooting up, so all the fabric is going to be getting pulled back. Those types of things are what really help to sell motion and just, like, I don't know, just, like, really awesome action within your characters. So always think about that. Think about the physics of everything that's happening with the clothing, the hair, anything. The cape, like he's kicking upwards. He's kicking upwards, so a little bit of that wind is kind of like, it's kind of pushing that little sash up a little bit, right? And a little bit of like the cape in the back, right, is flying up from the wind, not from his butt. He's not farting. That is from the kick, the awesome monk kick. Or he could be farting, I don't know, whatever. He had some super pepperoni pizza last night. One too many slices. Pepperoni pizza. But regardless, it is heroic looking and it looks cool. You always got to have that wind blowing in the cape. Wind always blows in the cape. You don't see Superman just sitting there with his cape just like down. Unless it's like a really depressing super emo shot of Superman. Or a clip from Man of Steel, which I think should have never been made. That was like, oh man. I was just talking about that with my friend last night. I was like, man, that movie sucked. I really didn't like that. But that is another conversation for never, because we never mention that movie again. We're just going to pretend like it's gone. So moving on. And if you like Man of Steel, I do apologize for you. Now, we're moving on to the girl's arm. The girl's arm. Now, this is basically where it's kind of toned down a little bit of the musculature. Before it was just a little bit too angular. But then I kind of like those angles, so I just introduced them back in just a tad bit. But, yeah, I kind of skinnied up her arms just a teensy-weensy bit. And just kind of cleaned up the muscles and made sure that everything was looking right. I also kind of dialed back the like super exaggerated proportions of the hand coming at you, because I felt like for the camera to be pulled back that far, like basically, check this out. This is a cool trick that I've talked to you guys about before. Like if the camera is in on me like this and I place my hand up to the camera, look at how much bigger my hand is to my face, right? But say like in the shot, I am the monk girl, right? I'm taking up about this much of the frame. Now notice when I put my hand up, it still gets big, but it's not like twice the size of my head, And that's basic perspective stuff for you. See? Like that. Massive. Scoot back a little bit. Because the camera lens, it affects it like that. I used to wonder how that worked. And like why these artists, that they would draw a character from really far away, and then the hand is still like coming straight at you. I was wondering why that looked kind of weird. And now I do. It was because the character was too far back in the plane, or it wasn't taking up enough space in the picture, and they tried to exaggerate the proportion. Okay, so moving on. This is one of my favorite parts of the entire picture. This is probably like one of the biggest, the most important things that I needed to make sure I got into this piece. And that was making sure that we had a goatman getting kicked in the throat by the monk. Because I freaking hate the goatmen from Diablo 3. They're like my least favorite. I seriously hate the goatmen. Especially the ones that are like just like beating on the drums. They're over there just like poof, 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 and then they make the other ones all big and pissed, right? So I always want to go up and like kick them in the throat, right? Punch them in the throat, kick them in the throat. If I could do a kick like that, I would. But yeah, my flexibility is not developed to that point of the monks of Diablo 3. Working on it, but we're not quite there yet. So yeah, I just decided I wanted to have him freaking booting this goatman off the screen. Might mess a little bit with our composition because I still want Malthael to be back here with like his wings. I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to make it. I mean, I got space here, so I think Malthael is gonna be a little bit more of a little bit more subliminal. Yeah, he's gonna just add to the composition. Like really, what I want people to look at is we're gonna have goatmen over on this side, right? And then the monk chick, sexy monk chick, is ready for battle, right? And then you got some demons on the other side. So goatmen here, demons on the other side. And then Malthael up here with his spooky spirit, watery looking things kind of coming from the clouds or whatever. And that would finish the picture for us. So, yeah, speaking of going back to action. Okay, so notice what I'm doing here. I'm using the goat man. I'm using like his hair. See how I'm pushing it forward? His arms and everything is like being like basically pushed away, right, from wherever his body is going because of the force of the impact. Doing those types of things. Oh, also another thing that you notice is when I first started, I actually had him connecting with the goat man right here. Like when I very first started drawing this. Let's see if I can find that. Let's see if I can find that. If not, then I'm sure you can go back on YouTube and watch it. But anyway, okay, yeah, right here. So see how I draw him like straight up, like kicking him in the throat in the beginning? This goes back to like a rule of comics. In the early days, like when you drew somebody getting punched in like back in the 1950s or whatever, whenever they started doing comics, they would always draw people getting punched like this, like right when the connection was being made. But nowadays, we've realized that the human mind is able to create the action if we show the aftershot, the follow-through. So now when someone gets punched in a comic, it's much more powerful to show the after shot, right? So the follow-through has already happened, and the guy is like flying back. And it looks so much more cool and dynamic. So that's basically what I did here. I pushed his entire body back. We can see like a little, I don't know, like little flakes or hair or whatever's coming off of there, just showing the impact. And already we have a much more dynamic and visceral action. So keep that in mind. All right, so continuing, moving on. Oh, and a lot of you might be wondering how I got this expression. You're like, Keenan, how can you just draw an expression like that right from the top of your head? How do you know what expression somebody makes when they're getting kicked in the throat or the stomach? And I will show you my secret weapon right here. This is my secret weapon. Anytime I have to create like a really complex expression or an expression that I don't know exactly how to do, I'll just take a picture of myself, right? I'll just take a picture of myself straight up, and then I will transpose that onto here, right? Got to kind of elongate the head because it's a goat man. And there you have it. There's your expression. All good to go. Set up and good to go. And I just exaggerate, kind of mess around with it as I go along. But I was really happy with how he turned out. And I really like doing stuff like that. I used to pride myself off of, I don't need to take a picture of myself to make an expression. I should just know how to do that, right? But then I eventually got past that hurdle because it was holding me back and I was being stupid. And I was like, no, to make good expressions, I should just draw from an actual expression that I'm making and then transpose it. See, and the trap that I see some people fall into is that they replicate their face a little bit too much. So, like, say they'll be drawing a girl with that expression, right? And it's a guy taking a picture of his face, and then they'll draw their face on a woman's body, and it looks really scary. So, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, but it just takes practice. So, I would highly encourage you guys trying that out for yourself and seeing what you can do with it. See, here's me using the fur, again, using more fur. It's getting pushed forward because of the wind, thereby selling the action more and more and more. And I decided to make him a drummer because I hate the drummer goats more than anything. And yeah, it just gives me great pleasure to see the drummer goat getting kicked in the stomach. Makes me just so happy. And I think it'll make Blizzard happy too. So, that is where we are now. So just a final run through here. See, for those of you who haven't seen the full idea or the full composition of what we're doing, see Malthael's going to be back here. This is representing the goat man getting kicked right there. Probably going to have just them surrounded by, see there's like a little pitchfork right here. You're just gonna be surrounded by various types of demons. Now I'm thinking of it. It's goatmen over here, demons over here, or just like the stupid little red ones. Sometimes they're blue and they run around super weak, and they have the one shaman guy that keeps rezzing them up. Those guys will probably be on the girls' side. You got Malthael, spirits, and yeah, we should end up with a pretty sweet picture. So before we end today, let's just go really quickly through all of the details. Details. So you can take a nice close look at them. I'm probably going to be going in here and just refining everything just a little bit more before we go into color. And we are going to be going into color fairly soon. We should be hitting it up probably by the end of the week. Oh, by the way, I need to let you guys know right now, this Thursday, we're going to be going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No Thursday, because I'm going to be leaving to WizardCon, Comic-Con, Wizard World Comic-Con. That is going to be in Sacramento, California. So if you're there, March 6th through 9th, come out and see me. I'm going to have prints. I'll be autographing stuff, giving cool stuff away. Come say hi. And if you can't make it then I will be back in Anaheim in April for WonderCon, which is the baby brother of San Diego Comic-Con. We're making our way to San Diego. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. But anyway. So yeah, no show Thursday. We're going to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I'm planning to have a good amount of this stuff done because this is really, like, all the complicated stuff is getting done now. I feel like it's nearly done. Yeah, and the color, I mean, you guys have seen how to add color to a grayscale portrait, the way that I do it. Color is really, really easy. Like, when I do my lines like this, it's literally just dropping the colors behind it, kind of cleaning it up a little bit, coloring the lines, and then doing a little overpainting, and that's it. Little special effects, whoop-de-doo, you're good to go. Like 90% of my process now is all set up. It's all set up. It's all building the foundation. It's all black and whites. You know what I mean? And I used to really not like doing it this way because I felt like I was cheating. But now it's like, I don't know where this mentality came from, but it's just like, no. The only thing that matters is how it looks. The only thing that matters is the result in the end. It doesn't matter whether you start from the very beginning or you use layers. You can't use layers in real life, you know? And yet I still find myself like drawing the line between what's right to do in Photoshop and what's not right to do. I was such a silly man. I was like this goat. I needed to get kicked in the throat. And I'm really digging this guy. This guy's awesome. I was really happy with how his hands turned out. Guys, I've said this once and I'll say it again. Hands and faces are the two most expressive parts of your character. So I literally I have a mirror right here that I'm using to take reference of my hands. Like I'll just like look at it in a certain way. Or sometimes I'll just literally do this and I'll just draw whatever I'm looking at. And what's really cool about this, what's really cool about working in Photoshop is that, you know, you want to draw this hand, right? But if you look at it, it's like, oh no, it's the wrong way. But all you have to do is you just mirror the image. And now you look at your hand and you're like, oh, sweet. This is looking at your left hand, by the way. See? You can literally make that fist and then you can draw it. You can draw it just like right there. And then when you're done, just flip the image back. That is the magic of Photoshop. You just make use of all that stuff. And specifically, what I want to bring your attention to with this guy's hand is I want you to just like make that fist. Just look at the way that your fist is when you do that. And don't put a lot of like, don't like squeeze your fist super hard. See how all the lines between your fingers are just straight? And then watch what happens when you basically tighten them. And I'll actually show you this too. See, it's like that. And then when you tighten them, see how all those lines, they start going towards your thumb, right? That's how I always remember it. These lines start bending towards your thumb. And that's the difference between this, right? Like, oh, I'm punching you, and this, right? It's like super awesome. Like your mind is like trained to see those lines subconsciously, and then you know that that is a dramatic fist. So you want to get stuff like that. And that's why I'm talking to you guys about, please, please, take some time to draw good hands. Draw good hands. And pay attention to your faces and all that stuff. Body language and all that stuff, that's going to come naturally along with it. But faces and hands are the places that I look first. So, well, out of the way, we're going to go and end today's show. Thank you guys for joining me on YouTube. I was about to say live. I'm so sad we can't do live shows. We can still do the Google Hangout though, which is pretty awesome. And we are going to be planning our World of Warcraft poop party very soon. So stay tuned for that. I'm probably going to be going full force on that as soon as I get back from Wizard World, which is going to be next week. So you guys take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching me on YouTube. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you don't. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be continuing our lovely piece. Until then, take care.